thanks first of all Family Law in Partnership for hosting us this evening. There was a rumour we were going to be in the House of Commons, and you could have enjoyed the infestations of rodents, moths, and for a time bed bugs there. And the excellent catering that the Spanish ambassador once described to me as prison food. So I think we've drawn the long straw in being here, and I thank Stephen and Helen for inviting me here. And as Stephen says, we do go back a long way, as we were successive leaders of Hammersmith and Fulham Council many years ago, and more than 20 years ago, and now we only see each other at football games because I support a team in the top half of the Premiership, and a team in the bottom half. Things can go up and down, as they say in the adverts. And I think I'm leading on to hear from Lord Ponsonby, an honest man fallen among politicians. So there we are. I've been told to keep these remarks short to avoid exposing my ignorance on the subject. So I should say that is when I first started practice more than 30 years ago. I did a year of family law until my clerks thought that I was more suitable for personal injury and landlord and tenant, which we won't go over. And then for about 6 years, after 2010, being the Shadow Justice Minister with responsibility for civil and family law. And so watching the whole car crash of Laspo unfold. Yeah. Although the irony, of course, being that you could say that one of the people thrown from the wreckage was mediation from that, because that was, and I please don't take this the wrong way, I think at the time, rather cynically, it was thought to be a bone that was thrown when the whole of the family legal aid was effectively cut. Probably the most audacious and unpleasant parts of a very unpleasant piece of legislation. But, and there were strange consequences, which everybody here knows about from that, which is that, yes, mediation went front and centre, and then mediation dropped off a cliff because they hadn't prepared people for how you accessed it and how you dealt with it. And so it's a huge tribute to a lot of the people here that you've managed not just to survive and to serve your clients, but to keep it as a concept and an idea going, and to make sure it becomes more and more important, and it is now. So hopefully that is a positive outcome, and that I would like to see a lot more help through legal aid for people across the spectrum of family, but the concentration on mediation, for all the reasons we know, in terms of the stress, the extra stress it places on families, the positive outcomes it has. So that I know that the Family Mediation Council has had predecessor bodies, but I think over the last 10 years, it's done a fantastic job in making sure that we do have that to be able to recommend to people, that we are able to say that there is a solution to your problems and that we can help with things. And that's a huge tribute to all the practitioners in the field. And so thirdly and lastly, now as the chair of the Justice Select Committee, there are a number of things that I'll just plug the committee what it's doing. Not all of which are relevant, but I know there will be interest to people here. We are pushing very hard on getting new legislation on cohabitation, which I think is one of the great unsung and unaddressed areas of work in the country. And issues to do with relationships, issues to do with family finance are incredibly important, and a lot of things that get the headlines are much less important than that. So I hope we will champion that. The second thing in terms of inquiry is, because there is so much focus on criminal justice, totally understandably in the current climate, that civil justice and family justice tends to be the poor relation in terms of the attention that government gets. We're continuing a previous committee's inquiry into the county court. We want to look at the delays and the problems and the administrative problems and also the access problems that people have there. And that's something that we're going to be launching and majoring on into the spring of this year. And what we're not doing yet, but after we finish our current inquiries on the county court and some prison inquiries, is to start looking at access to justice and start looking at where we are now, because I don't believe that with all the changes that have gone through, I'm deliberately leaving it for a few months to see what the new government does. And there are some positive signs. There is some positive investment in legal aid that we haven't seen for, well, at least 15, maybe 20 years at least. So we will look at that, we'll see if it's sufficient, we'll see what else can be done. But I hope that we can give a voice to family justice as well as to other aspects of civil and criminal justice in that respect. Because we are not in a good place as a country in giving access to justice now. And I'd just like to end just by saying that therefore it's even more important what you're doing, what we're doing through mediation, to ensure that people can resolve the most difficult issues in their lives. And they often are around family law. Of course, we sympathise incredibly with the victims of in the criminal field, but it can be just as devastating what happens when families break up in making sure